we're gonna bring the meeting to order. And I don't have my phone, whatever time it is. What time is it? Oh, 5:31, 5:32. All right, meeting, we're gonna call the meeting to order and we'll go ahead and do the roll call, please.
Kimberly James,
Present.
Avery Wilson,
Here.
Elliot Mark,
Here.
Jasmine, Julio, Jasmine here. I'm gonna get it right. Deborah Patrick. Here.
All righty, thank you very much. We have an agenda before us. So we could entertain a motion to adopt the agenda.
So moved.
All right, that was Mr. Lawrence. Is there a second? Second by Ms. Julio. All in favor? Aye. That was unanimous. All right, we have the approval of the August 8th minutes. Just on the next page, pretty straightforward. I didn't see any corrections. Anyone else saw any corrections or things that need to be made? If not, can we entertain a motion? If you all need a couple of minutes, let me know. And whenever you're ready, I'll take a motion to approve the minutes. Okay, that was Ms. Julio. Second by Mr. I was gonna say Mr. Lawrence. Mr. Avery, all in favor? Aye. All right. We going to new business. We have an Aerotropolis Atlanta presentation.
Yes. Should I stand at the podium?
Yes, please.
All right, testing.
Yes.
Always like hearing myself in these mics. Want to slow it down a little bit. All right. All right. So first, thank you all for having me. You know, I'm not sure if Marcellus is going to join us, but we've been in constant communication. He has been aggressive researching what we're doing and trying to connect the dots. So kudos to Marcellus and the entire team. We've had conversations with the entire economic development team. And so our objective today ultimately is to introduce you all to one of our catalytic sites for Blueprint 2.0, which is right here in the city of Forest Park. To give you a bit of context, this process started about 2 years ago. All right, so taking you back a bit. And when we started the process, we identified several sites. It was based on several components, and we basically utilized an Excel spreadsheet and allowed the data to drive our decisions on the site. So you know this site really was at the top of our metrics. So next slide, please. What I'm going to do today is really spend time around, some of you guys may not be familiar with our original blueprint, so just high level, and then walking into 2.0 and what we're discussing today. Next slide. Here's an introduction to the Aerotropolis, guys. It's not me. We got a full team, small but mighty. Brian Dorellis is our senior project manager. Valencia White, who does more than just executive assistant. She's doing a lot of program work. And Shantae Foster, our marketing communications manager. So everything you're seeing is a team. Next slide. Very high level about who we are. Guys, we're young, all right? We're 2014. We're 10 years old. Interview with kids. You totally get it. Our mission is to serve as a catalyst for regional economic competitiveness. That's a big term in which we really look for corporations and communities to thrive. That's really where we're pushing for, right? If you look around Metro Atlanta, you look at communities that are strong, that have solid corporations or corporate backing within that nest, this vibrancy. So what we're pushing for is for our area to become no different, if not stronger. And the vision, the key word there is inclusive. Our board of directors are very intentional and adamant about making sure that we're thinking holistically, right? We're not just thinking about how to recruit people here, how to continue to think about our legacy residents, make sure they're part of this process, so on and so forth. We have a 38-member board, which is large, and we really focus on economic, workforce, and community development. Those are our 3 pillars. Next slide. And there is some international relations in there, but we won't spend time today. Again, I just mentioned these 3 core initiatives. This is where we spend a lot of our wheels. Guys, we're a convener, right? We're not an authority. We don't have any ability to grant incentives or any powers. Our power is in convening. We're a think tank. We have lots of intellectual capital. And honestly, it's that support. Next slide.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
Do we have any Forest Park people on the board?
Yes, absolutely. So Ricky sits on the board. This was decided, and guys, this was years ago. But Mayor Butler, we typically have the highest elected official, and the city of Forest Park decided that they wanted to have the city manager represent on the board, and we're okay with that. So that's why we're situated in that way. But Ricky's been on our board a long time, and he knows how to leverage. So you got a good one. Blueprint. So the blueprint is really our plan, guys. This is how everything that we're doing. If you want to just fully understand, okay, how are we moving? Why are we moving like this? Just this blueprint. It's on our web page. You can easily pull it up. It talks about our catalytic sites. It talks about our multimodal networks that we wanted to create. It really talked about this galvanization of someone to eat, sleep, drink this work, which is me, right? I'm drinking the Kool-Aid. And but it's a really healthy document that was done in 2016. Now that was 8 years ago, right? Now we've really completed 98% of everything that was mentioned in this plan. So we didn't let it sit on the shelf. All the sites have been activated. All the work has been done. So that's my job, right? Next slide. Here's a good illustration of some of that work, right? If you guys are driving around the airport, especially around that northern half, east to west, at the time it was Airport City, now 6 West. You're crossing over north to our Aerotropolis Corporate Crescent, which ton of activities happening there between East Point and Hateville, and then pushing into Mountain View. You guys may not know that we were extremely instrumental. We were the catalyst that got Mountain View started. It was caught up in legal mumbo jumbo. I don't have to explain to this group, but we were able to work with the private property owners. We brought the county's legal counsel to the table, the county leadership, and OA Development was able to advance phase 1. And so Blueprint 2.0, we're looking for phase 2. You'll probably see some of that. And what we're doing is we're pushing for a central business district. You know, Forest Park was one of the original members of the Aerotropolis. And the idea was to always make sure in the forefront that as we think about this central business district, that Forest Park plays a absolutely critical role. And so what you may not see on here, since then, we've done an AeroATL Greenway plan. So there's a model mile for our multimodal access in the city of Forest Park. As you can see now, I'm here, we're talking about a catalytic site that we've identified at no cost to Forest Park. We've done all of this work. And for us, we're still continuing to figure out how do we better connect Forest Park to the momentum, but also allow it to stand on its own, right, within its own uniqueness. But central business district, guys, that's what we're trying to do, that 3 to 5 mile radius, so it becomes a hub for momentum for everything in that 7 to 10 mile radius, that secondary and tertiary boundaries. Next slide. Dream big. All right, we're dreaming big, guys. 2.0, we are really dreaming big. This is the next iteration of planning for us. Everything is data driven. Okay, so if you want to never have to question, if you want to know why we're doing what we're doing, we've got data to support it and justify it. And we leverage the Atlanta Regional Commission a ton. I mean, a ton. And so if you've got questions, we can definitely talk about some of our decision making. Next slide. Here's a high level insight on 2.0. Guys, we're going to officially release this document in about a month or so. So we're literally closing the gap. And so workforce development, there's a workforce development strategy. As a part of this work, we've done research with Clayton State University through their CREST team, which is a research division. And we've gotten real-time data. That's what we've been missing. We've been missing real-time data from some of our local corporate partners on where their gaps are and their needs. So how do we identify those gaps and needs and then understand what do our school systems offer and where are those gaps, right, between CCPS and Clayton State University, Atlanta Tech. And so we're doing a lot of research to align industry, at least our target industries, with curriculum so that we have an intentional pipeline and pathways that are being created. That's what we're missing, guys. We're missing that. Catalytic nodes, we've identified new sites, and also transportation. There's a 3 to 5 mile mobility strategy that we've created. We're working with the AT Airport CID, GDOT, you name it. And we're really just trying to identify those gaps. One of the things that we recognize, and you guys are familiar with, Marta Reach, right? Marta Reach was right here in Forest Park. That's something we could talk about offline. But there's a huge opportunity there. And it's something that we want to revisit with Forest Park at some point. Okay, so table that one. Next slide. Yes.
Regarding transportation, are you all also looking at any type of partnerships with CSX or the rail at all?
Absolutely. So CSX joined our organization. So much so, to your point, we recognize there's a huge gap. Norfolk Southern hasn't been as aggressive with us, knowing they've got this line just north running south. They haven't been as responsive, but CSX joined us. We're actually working. One of our sites actually have identified with CSX. So it's like yes and no. One has stepped up, one hasn't. So still work in progress. Good point. Great catch. All right, guys. So here's a good look at those catalytic sites that I was mentioning. These are the 2.0 sites. All right. The original blueprint spoke to 6 West and College Park, the Aerotropolis Corporate Crescent, where Hateville sits, a lot of activity there, and then Mountain View. We literally had 3 sites. Well, now what we're looking at is up to about 6 sites. I think we're at 5. Yes, 5 total sites. And what you'll see is I do believe that the blue that sits, no, I'm sorry, 3. 3 is, if I'm not mistaken, is Forest. The yellow 3 is Forest Square. All right. And again, these are all data-driven sites, guys. We got data to support all of these. Next slide. Next slide. All right. So I'm not going to, unfortunately, I won't be able to present all those sites. If I could, I would. But for the sake of this group, I figured, right, let's stick to Forest Square. So what you're seeing, and I do believe you guys will get a copy of this, what you're seeing is basically the work that has been done by our consultants, Pond and Company. We also worked with MXD Development Strategists. Those guys are out of Canada. And when we drill down on this Forest Square site, you'll see basically why this site. We've got several different analyses here. One that I would like to point out is the Jonesboro LCI study. That study was extremely powerful. It allowed us to kind of speed our decision making and also connect the dots on the opportunities identified in the LCI. And those LCIs continue to just leverage for capital investment. You know, developers, state and federal, everyone, they really go look to see what's happening in these LCIs. So thank God Forest Park had one. We were able to leverage it. We worked towards it. And we were really backing into this Forest Square site with the understanding of what's happening at Fort Gillem. Fort Gillem, to my understanding, is fully, all the sites, all the assets have been acquired. We understand that there's a huge demand for the volume and employee count that's happening there, livability, walkability, retail even, and not just Fort Gillem, but the surrounding areas. Like Fort Gillem is that anchor, and then the surrounding area really is just complementing it. And so, but what we also recognize is that there's a lag of new housing stock to support the growth that the demand and the market was communicating to us. And so this site, this area just really kind of just pinged out from our data. So much so we met with Sam, who is the owner of this site. He also runs a senior healthcare service center just adjacent to the lot. I don't know if you guys have been to the site, but he was very open to the idea and what we were discussing. So much so that I think he was even trying to figure out how to work with us to make it happen. But I think he got a bit sideways and wanted to steer straight on what he's doing. But he did give us communication that, you know, if we keep pushing this forward, if he can do well, he'd be open to helping us bring this to fruition. So that was positive. And so once we got that positive feedback from Sam, it allowed us to continue to push forward, right? Any of the sites that you're seeing, there's some level of connectivity, whether it's publicly owned or if it's privately owned. We've had conversations with that property owner to make sure, okay, does this even make sense? And at the time, I want to say it was Bruce Abraham, who was the economic development director, who was also doing some work with us on this site. So it was just starting to kind of map itself out. And so as a result, we recognized that Forest Park was doing a lot of planning and work downtown. We also recognized our model mile that is not far from this site. And so there's just this momentum. There's just opportunity happening in this area. And we just felt like, okay, let's figure out how to seize it. Let's figure out how to organize ourselves. And one thing we know, once this hits the marketplace, the interest will follow. And so we just wanted to make sure we weren't telling people things that weren't accurate, and we had the data to support it. Next slide. The next slide will show you, based on what we've heard, based on the communication in which we've received, there's this big interest around more density, more rooftop access in this area, new products specifically. And so our consultants move forward, and as you can see, they've done some conceptual designs, right? This is a concept, right? So this isn't, final any stretch of the imagination. But what this does is, what we found is that once you're able to help the end user see the vision and see the opportunity and know that there's data and some work behind it, then some of those tier 1, tier 2 developers are more willing to move forward. When you don't have this stuff, that's when you get the tier 2, really tier 3, even tier 4 developer. And that's, honestly, we like to stick in that tier 1, tier 2. And so these are concepts. These are just visuals. This just helps the marketplace understand what's possible on this lot. All right. Now we've got some more. I think we've got 2 or 3 more renderings I didn't include, but I will send to this board so you guys can see it. And all it does, it speaks to really residential and retail. There's not a lot. I don't think there's really any office that's being proposed here. I think it's really all residential and retail. Okay, next slide. I wanted to make sure to include this slide. Ricky and I talk a lot about this, and I want to make sure this group is fully aware that there's federal funding coming down the pipe. There's now a multimodal trail, the extension of the Beltline, as you can see, that top light blue type ring. Yep. That extension, number 1, that's the West Side Trail where Lee and White sits. And then it's going to push, as you can see, all the way down into East Point College Park. The trail is going to push north of the airport, north of Hartsfield, and right where Delta sits to the right, into Clayton County. Now, you see where that 11 sits, and 11 and 12. To me, I feel like that's kind of right in that in-between spot where Forest Park sits. And we've got a multimodal trail already identified here. Guys, we've got data, we've got research, we've got analysis. This is what, those markets look for. You've got the research. So what we are already talking about is, okay, how do we know this is coming. How do we make sure that this connects to Forest Park, right? To the multimodal trail that we already identified. That trail is going to come right into downtown. The downtown is connected to the site we're talking about. So we're thinking about walkability, right? Like ecosystem. How do you allow this trail to continue to support what Forest Park is already doing, but potentially becomes an asset and a vehicle to help stimulate what we're proposing on this site. And so I just wanted to make sure to show you guys this. This is the future. This project is going to start in 2025. We're starting with a CTP with GDOT. So this is now become a state project. And so GDOT has agreed to give us $1 million to start really January of this year with the planning. And so January of 25, we'll receive GDOT funding. There's an MOA that's been approved by the Tri-Cities and Clayton County. And so there's a private match. So there's a huge effort already happening. And so this is going to happen. What we recognize is that in that green area between 10, 11, and 12, those are planning areas. So the purple areas are construction. The key is, as long as we get that planning right, once we identify a consultant, we start our process, it's going to take a while, but there is basically a guarantee of $150 million behind this project. We've been communicated this by DC. Matter of fact, I'll be there in 2 weeks. And they are really pushing on us to get this right. This is a part of the U.S. Department of Transportation funds, the infrastructure bill, and we were one of 8 across the whole nation who received this funding, along with the Stitch. The Stitch received 150, which is downtown. Next slide. All right, so I know this is Cliff Notes, right? We haven't gone into the minutia, but figured this presentation would give you the context behind our decision making, and also some reasoning around why we see this site as huge potential. And once this project drops, we're going to be working with Forest Park. We're going to be working on that site. We're going to be working day and night and trying to figure out creatively, how do we turn this, as long as it aligns with the vision of the city. And I want to say that again, right? We're not out here to come tell you what to do. You come out here and say, well, Shannon, we'd rather see this. As long as it's, quality, is helping to match the vision of the city and an alignment with the Aerotropolis, trust me, we're behind it. We recognize we need more data, we need more concepts, we need more intentionality around certain sites in order to keep moving forward. And that's what we're trying to do. Yes, sir.
As I recall, the trail was gonna be on a bridge across the interstate. Is that still kind of the idea?
Bridge across the Stitch.
Well, whatever you want to call the trail.
That's the Stitch. So
Oh,
the
okay.
Stitch is exactly that. Doug Hooker, the guy who actually helped found the Aerotropolis, he's leading that. That's a Dan Cathy baby.
Okay.
Yeah. And just so you know, Dan is actually working with us too. The state of Georgia is really excited about this project. What we're hearing and feeling is that we're basically phase 1 of what could potentially become a trail that runs all the way through Georgia. So imagine starting in South Georgia, making your way to Atlanta on bike. That could be powerful.
One of the things I think it's important to note, Shannon, is that if you think of this catalytic site that you've identified, Atlantic Station was very similar.
Very
Atlantic
similar.
Station started out as a brownfield. Just a steel mill is what it actually was. They planned it in 2005. It opened up to what it is now. So that just shows you the magnitude of what can happen when you master plan. And for Aerotropolis to designate this, I want to say you designated 2, I believe.
In Forest Park?
No, altogether. How many catalytic sites do you have?
Oh no, we've actually have 3 catalytic sites, and we've got I think we've got 2 community sites.
That's major, because as he talks about, and he's just humble, as he talks about the state wanting to fund these projects, he have all of the influential people on it.
Oh, yeah.
Or as partners or as sponsors. So that's just the city getting free induced marketing for work that they're doing themselves that we didn't even have to pay for. So I
You hit it, Ricky.
point that out. And the other thing is, even though you don't see Aerotropolis, they're always in the background working on our behalf. If it's a developer, he calls. If
That's
it's
right.
He wants to know, he calls. So I just think it's a privilege and honor to have leveraging our community.
I appreciate you, Ricky. Yeah, I think the key for us is just getting stuff done. We recognize why the vehicle was created, right? To be a positive voice, messenger, and narrator for the region that may not be at some of the tables that we've been wanting to be at. Well, it's happening. It's happening. Great point, Ricky. Ricky gets it. And he's been getting it, to be quite honest with you.
We pay him a lot of money for that, though, man.
That's right.
Piece of the pie.
Right.
That's right.
The largest.
The largest. Yes.
How many acres, do the 15 parcels altogether have to?
That's a good question. I want to say it was somewhere between 4 and 5 acres. I can get the specifics for you. We've got the lot dimensions in a separate slide, but I can send that.
Biggest part.
That's what I'm saying. 4 or 5 acres in all, that's for 15.
It's a lot, yeah, and all of it is not commercial property.
Right.
There are
Right.
some churches and,
Right.
yeah.
Right. But there's two property owners. Some is the primary. And the only thing he cares about seems like is that health, the senior health. That's right. He's like, look, man, all right, we good, but just know I'm holding the fort on this site now. And we were like, that's fine. That's perfect, actually.
It's packed most days over there.
Okay, that's why. Okay. He's got 2 locations, he said, so.
Other one is it in Morrow?
No, they're not
Oh.
connected.
They're not connected, they don't, they use.
Oh, okay, you know it's what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
uh,
it's the Waloo.
Mr. Wallow, that's him.
mm.
All right, any other questions?
I would only add, thank you. And Ricky knows this, we promote Forest Park on our bus tours. We promote you guys a lot. I mean, a lot. You may not know it, you may not recognize it. But just know that, right? Like Ricky said, we're in the cut. We're back here just being an advocate, a champion, because honestly, most times that's how you get stuff done. Sometimes you're all in the forefront. You like, I guess Puff Daddy. Sometimes you got to take that Suge Knight approach.
Not the best example.
Maybe not the best example, right? I'm just talking about when he talked about all in the video.
Right, but maybe not now.
That part.
But I think that bus tour was just, when were they here? It was recently.
It was
wasn't
very recent. What was it, 2 weeks ago,
that's
thereabouts?
They just came through. And when they get off, they look at some sites.
Mhm.
That's free for us.
Mhm.
Well, that ain't.
Well,
I'm sorry, I do have one more question.
Yeah.
So from when you drop this next week, what would you say anticipated, are we gonna see the final result? Like,
probably a month. We probably got a month.
oh, no, not from the drop. I'm talking about the catalytic site, the total, when everything
Right.
is said and done.
Mhm.
When I'm looking for a condo over there,
Mm.
what year should I be looking to purchase?
Ooh.
That's what I'm saying.
Well, somebody has to acquire this site.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
gonna take a little bit, but.
If I had to guess, you know, if I had to honestly guess, this is 20, when we drop, I would give it another 12 months before, or even 16 months before someone really makes a move and pulls the trigger. And then you probably got another 12 or 18 months after that. So you're really talking about about 3 years. I'm just being honest. A real strategy, it'll take us about 3 years. It's a marathon, guys. It's a marathon.
What would you say would be the cost if you had to, based upon your knowledge of the area? What would you say would be the cost of the largest tract?
Ooh, man. You know, we've been playing with those numbers too, just so we can get a sense.
The 20 million.
Well, here's the thing. No, you know what? I'm learning through this process is worth what somebody's willing to pay for.
That's right.
And I may have a number, he may have another. So I don't want to jump out there
Yeah, I was gonna say that.
and yeah.
It's out there, somebody might listen and say, oh, well, they'll give me this.
Yeah, and are these recorded? Are these meetings?
Yes, it is.
Oh, there it is.
So, I know you mentioned the captains.
Yes.
What degree are they involved?
Ooh, man, they are tremendously involved. So 3 Horses is Dan's real estate. A lot of folks don't even know that. So they help advise us. We leverage their resources. And also their network. You know, he helps introduce us to folks who may not typically even be considering this area. And they're a huge advocate. Chick-fil-A has opened several doors for us. So when you have a brand like for instance, later this month, Arrow Honors, that is Chick-fil-A presents. I don't know if you guys know that. That's Chick-fil-A Arrow Honors. So that's Dan as well. So they're all over the place. They got their fingerprint. They care about this area, guys. Like they really care. They're probably the strongest family that we're working with. Yeah. Absolutely. And they've given us some good money too, so I want to leave that out. Well, guys, I would just say, let me know how I can support. You know, if there's continued decision-making on behalf of this board, just let me know how I can support you guys. I know you've got powers. You've got the ability to, you know, make some big decisions. So, you know, if someone were to say to me now, even this group, I would even think about, if you're serious about this site, right? If you're like us, we want to hold hands, I would think about like a master plan or something. Something that, okay, but something that allows you to do a little bit more deep dive, right? Because all we've done is just made it sexy. We've done enough to get their attention. And then there's the other piece where they've got it's a lot more, right? This is like scratching the surface. Let's get you looking. All right, now let's pull you over here, and then there's a lot more work. So if you guys were thinking about this site, we love to hold your hands and, you know, consider that. And then that way you do a deep dive, and then you really pull some a little bit more aggressively. And then if you have a vehicle that's a little bit better, you're going to turn around and attract what you want. And you got good problems. So that's just a recommendation. That's exactly it. Yep, that's exactly what happened. Matter of fact, you know, that project, guys, I'm gonna let you go. The US soccer headquarters, we were all into that. We were trying to get that more directly here, right? Okay. But look, that's right. Come on, which hat you got on there? But it's all good. But that was warranted relationship. That was Dan. It was almost in Douglas with Tyler and Arthur. So it had came down to those two. So those relationships are getting us in these rooms, talking to folks and knowing about these opportunities, which I think this site, man, it could be killer. And I think that could be the pop, because I ride down Jonesboro Road a lot. Ooh, imagine that happening right there. I think the key is now, how do you become more thoughtful about everything around it? Because what happens is, you guys know, right, that new product, then what happens to the residents? So got to be real thoughtful about this stuff. All right, well, I won't hold you anymore. I'll keep going.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate your
Thank
time.
you so much, everyone. Thank you. Let me know when you need me back, okay?
Yes, sir.
All right, thank you.
All right, we're gonna move to the next item on the agenda, Gillum Monuments Installation Discussion.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Lost my glass. Oh, so I am super excited to give an update about our monument. So the monument is done, and if you will be reminded, this is the Gillum monument that we had constructed. It is done. It's sitting wrapped up in plastic in a warehouse right now, and it has been completely paid for, because we paid for that out of the funds that we set aside for evolution. However, I am before you today because now that the monument is done, it needs to be installed. We have identified a location, as I shared with you a couple of weeks ago, at the Gillum Public Safety Building. We spent an afternoon driving through the entirety of Gillum to identify the absolute best place to put it. And on the grounds of the Public Safety Building is the absolute best place to put it. The ground is level. It's right there on the grass. I think we're pulling up the picture for you in just a second here. And as well as,
Let me stop you,
Yes,
Mr.
ma'am.
Remind the board, you know that stuff. Remind the board of the monument.
the monument, as part of the celebration of the completion of what is now known as Gillum Logistics Center, we constructed a monument to immortalize forever and ever and ever and ever the work, the intentionality, and the leadership of the URA board, as well as our mayor, council, and city manager, to celebrate the historic moment of acquiring all of Fort Gillum, as well as paying it off. So this is an old picture, but the monument itself be kind of in this area right here, in the grass facing the street. So right when it gives people the opportunity to pull off the street and be able to read the monument. We also identified this site because of the amount of traffic that comes through this area. It also makes for an ideal place, given the number of schools and community engagement things that happen at the public safety building. It just makes sense to have the monument there. So what I am asking for, so now that the monument is done and we've identified the site and it has been blessed by our city manager, we need to construct the base. And so what I'm asking for, I've reached out to Technique Concrete to be our partner to install the 4x6, 2x4 concrete base. It's about 10 inches thick and reinforced with rebar. They are ready to do it. The price that they have quoted us is $2,800 to pour the base, to pour the foundation. As soon as the foundation is done, will take about 3 days for it to cure, and then the monument can be installed. So with your blessing and approval to move forward with that $2,800 expenditure, we can have the monument erected, weather depending, in as close as a week. At that time, once it is done, we will then look to schedule a public unveiling for the event, probably in the early October timeframe.
Is there a current sign right there on that corner that says fire station or something?
Over a little bit.
Uh-huh.
Oh, okay,
It's not, you were correct.
okay. Any questions by the
I
board?
wasn't here when the monument was discussed. Do we have an image of what?
Yes, I can send that to you. Give me just a second and I will send that.
Oh, you don't remember the monument discussion?
I think
We had,
she,
it was
wasn't-
before,
I
oh.
think she
you
joined the
weren't
board right after all of that was done. So I will
Oh.
make sure that, to hold everybody honest, I will resend the image
Okay,
of the monument. It is actually quite lovely. It turned out to be a beautiful piece.
when did you join the board? Just before the celebration?
Did they do any studies around like the ground and the ground hardness, got clean bases constructed and then later like
Mm-hmm.
groundwater, whatever you call it.
So I was, met with Mr. Freeman and his lead tech person. It's my non-fancy way of explaining what it is that he does. Out at the site, they walk the site with us. The monument company has also been out and walked the site, and neither have any issues or concerns with groundwater or the levelness of the ground itself.
Mr. Clark, can you can you get that to her so she can see it? So,
I just showed it.
did you
Yeah.
see, were you able to see it? Okay, okay.
I've seen
We all saw it, but we may have to be refreshed on it. Except for Miss Julio, she wasn't on the board. It's been a while, yeah, since we.
Give me 1 second. Mr. Bird, you have, teams. A fun fact about this while he's pulling up. Originally, and I don't even know if you know this, Mr. Bruce drew this.
Oh, did he draw it?
Did.
He did.
I didn't
He
know he
did.
drew it.
He did.
Yep.
This was his original sketch.
And I still have the original sketch. And
Okay,
to Mr. Abraham's testament, he did draw it.
okay.
He put us in touch, and fun fact, the company, that is doing the monument, they also own the Forest Hills Cemetery
Okay,
here in Forest Park. Mm-hmm.
So
So he's-
base that
Yes.
at the bottom?
Yes. Mm-hmm. That would be the base at the bottom.
Do you remember what it said? One of the board members just asked what it said.
If you give me a minute, I will have it for you before we leave. I have my computer. I'll pull it up, because don't quote me on exactly what it says. But I will pull that up for you before we adjourn this evening.
any other questions about the installation process? So I see the scope of work is identified here.
Is the monument itself marble?
Granite.
Granite.
May this monument serve as a beacon of hope, unity, and progress as city leaders tirelessly work to shape bright futures for generations to come.
Thank you.
And then it has city council,
As well
ERA
as
member,
ERA.
whoever was there at that
Mhm, on
time.
the board at that time, as
Yeah.
well as the date and the seal.
All right, now will it have a light affixed to the
We
monument?
talked about that. We actually, when we went and finalized the walkthrough with both parties, we talked about having some uplighting put at the
Mhm.
base.
Yeah, get the lighting.
Maybe some
Mhm.
solar?
They don't
So,
work
they
well.
don't work well?
Mm-mm, they
Okay.
don't.
What we've been doing is
Okay.
using Georgia Power
Okay,
to install it, similar to what we did with the gateway signage when you come in.
Mhm.
mhm,
Because if something goes wrong with it, they're automatically triggered and they just come fix it.
mhm.
I tried solar lighting before it was horrible.
Okay.
They don't work
Okay.
that well, or for very long.
And so if we utilize Georgia Power for lighting, is that a cost, an additional
It's a
cost?
no. It's just a
Okay.
no. We can-
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay.
They just come back.
Yep.
Okay.
Definitely.
All right, do you all have any questions on the scope of work here? Let's see.
Temporary erosion control. That was what I was concerned about. Making sure it doesn't continue to settle, move one way or the other.
Okay. So you all have had someone look at the property? I'm sorry, I missed what you were saying.
Mhm, I'm sorry.
You had someone look at the groundwork and everything?
We
and
did,
make sure it's-
we had the monument company as well as Technique
Mhm.
out, and both have surveyed and assessed the site. I
Okay.
can get, if it would make you more comfortable, can get them both to put in writing what they shared with us in terms of settling and erosion.
Yeah, that was.
Okay, we can definitely do
Okay.
that.
So, I know Attorney Magic Carter is on the line. Are we able to go ahead and, entertain a motion to approve it and then, you can get the final paperwork or
Yes,
contract or whatever we need?
yes. You can go
Okay.
ahead and do that.
All right, so is there a motion on the table for this item, you all?
I move we approve the concrete base for the new monument.
All right, that was Mr. Lawrence and Mr. Wilson. Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. All righty.
Diane?
Yes, sir.
The next item on the agenda, the Georgia Power easement, this
Mhm.
item is not for the URA, this is an item for the DDA.
Oh, okay.
If we can remove that, if you look in the legal description of the easement, you can see where it says Development Authority. But it should
Gotcha.
be the Downtown Development Authority, based upon guidance from our legal.
Okay. Oh, it doesn't even say URA, does it? Okay. All righty. We're gonna move to the next item on the agenda then, which is the TSW LCI proposal presentation.
So there is not a presentation per se. What you have in your packets is the agreement. I believe at our last URA meeting, Director Williams talked through, actually at our strategic retreat, and then at our last URA meeting, talked about engaging and moving forward with a proposal from TSW as the URA identifies a master plan as part of the creation of a master plan and the expansion of the URA footprint. And so what you have before you is the proposal that TSW is proposing.
Did everyone get a chance to kind of look at this before we move forward? I know I had kind of sent it out, but I do have some questions. Um, and I think some of my questions may need to be in executive session. So we're just gonna hold this for just a moment, okay? Let's go to the next item, which is the URA financial report.
Good evening, Chairwoman James and committee members.
Good evening.
Before you, you have the URA financial report. Not much is going on because this is really basically to confirm that when you authorize the budget, we have the budget in, and you can see it by the operating expenses and the operating revenue that we have on this report. I'll start out with what's the operating cash from your checking account. The URA Army checking, the beginning balance of $3 $29,000. You have deposits of 12,710. You have some withdrawal, 73,534, giving you an ending balance of 3,815,605. The URA Kroger checking, beginning balance of $643,498, deposits of $2,138, withdrawal and the debits, $1,500, giving you an ending balance of $644,136. Moving on to the next section, it's the operating revenue. Nothing really going on with that. Like I said, with the operating revenue and the operating expenses, you're just getting started. So next month, you will probably see quite a few expenses that will hit the books. I've also included, like before, just graphs of the operating revenue, operating cash, operating revenue, and the operating expenses. Also, I've included in your packet is the bank accounts. Basically, these bank accounts are confirmed by the cover sheet that I presented to you in the operating cash. The first one, the checking ending in 4610. That's the URA Kroger checking. And like I said before, it shows the beginning and the ending balance. Next bank statement ending in 4594. That is your the Army checking account. And also we have already gone over the balances of the beginning and ending. Rounding out the packet, I have statement of account from the Office of the State Treasurer. This is your Georgia Fund 1. And as far as reinvestment, it came in at $155,550. So that is still doing pretty good. You still have an interest rate of 5.36. That is correct. That is correct.
Just for clarity,
Mm-hmm.
you already had invested some funds, right?
Yeah, they already had about, I think it was about 3 or 4 million. Yeah, 4 million was already in there.
Subsequent to that, I directed staff to invest 30 million.
Yes.
But the 30 million is restricted funds for funds. I just want to make sure, the reason
Right.
why that number jumped up.
Mhm.
Me and Ms. James and I both like to save money and make money. And this was a great idea on her part, but the reason why that number jumped up significantly is because we invested that, what was it, $30 million?
That is correct, because before the reinvestment was about 18 every month. And then with this addition of the 30 million, which jumped it up to this 155,000. So that is actually pretty good, because this money is just sitting. And while it was sitting in Truist, it was only 3.9%. So this is better, putting it over here in Georgia Fund 1, which is about the best in Georgia anyway.
City Center and Star Park.
Mhm. So let me ask, why didn't he just go into a separate Georgia Fund 1 account instead of being with the funds that we have?
No. We put it with this because we'll have to go through like a 2 or 3 week resolution. That means, I think before, when we activated the first account, we had to go through and the application. Then we had to go through, get everybody to sign. And then the Office of the State Treasurer has to go through and then they have to go through and check off, and then they'll sign and send it back to us. That usually takes about 4 weeks.
My only
So,
issue, I
yeah.
don't want it co-mingled.
Right, yeah, I would think
It's
that
hard.
we could keep it in the way it is now, but go ahead and start that process to have another Georgia
And the
Fund
only
one.
reason I say this is because the title, when I think of turnover. And I think of, somebody may not know that those are two separate accounts, one restricted funds, the other coming from that Army fund. And if you look at this account, it says that you are an Army account. So somebody could come in as chair and think this is just their free money to do whatever, and it's not. It's not. I think that's a valid point.
Not a problem, because I know, if that's the will of the, committee, no problem. Because, before, I just know we got a lot of bank accounts, and just don't wanna, inundate and have you have more bank accounts, but that's fine.
No,
That's-
it just,
That's
it
no,
will
it's a
just,
valid point, valid
Mhm.
point, because we can take that 30 million, move it over to another one, and, well, what I'll do is I'll calculate on what we had before
mhm.
and how much that particular 4 million had earned, and then we'll move whatever the 30 million has earned over into the new account. That good?
Can
Mhm.
we transfer whatever the 30 million makes over, you know how it reinvested into that same account, or can we not reinvest it into our account because it's unrestricted like that?
What's that, the 30?
The
investment that
interest.
comes in- Right, the interest.
But the point of us doing the interest on that restricted funds was because we're gonna have a budget shortfall. So we're estimating that the city center is gonna cost us $60 million. And so we're gonna keep the interest that this 30 million is making so that we don't have to take such a high bond to finalize that building in that park. So I would still wanna keep it restricted for that project because it's supposed to help us cover the shortfall, if that makes any sense. Just trying to make a little bit more money so we don't have to raise taxes.
Yeah.
I was messing with you.
I thought that we.
It was, I think what Mr. Wiggins is saying is they didn't separate.
Because of the process, understandable, because you know I want to make money quickly.
But I think it's better.
She was always-
for us. Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
You know, getting it over there into this account like this, you know, and they pretty much know me now because I've called them. I don't know how many times, so, you know, we should get things going.
yeah, and I believe they
got-
said we could have
take-
up to 3 Georgia Fund One accounts per, per,
Municipality.
yeah. No, not per municipality, but per organization, up to 3. So this will be number 2. In other words, that's what I'm saying.
We'll make it happen.
Hey, you go, I'm not,
We'll just move it.
No, yeah, we just have a one called
oh, yeah. And then
capital
we have-
projects
we
or
have 4.
whatever. Yeah, okay.
For those resolutions, because they usually have resolutions happening.
So since the city handles the financial side, we have an investment policy. Where they relinquish that level of authority to city managers, but fund directly on it.
And it's all in the policy.
So with the bank accounts and the different deposits and checks and such, well, maybe I'm answering my own question. Let me look at this other paper, because I was just trying to see if we are able to see what the check was for. See it on here? At one point, you were giving us the breakdown of what items were being paid.
In the, out of our encode system. Yeah, but it didn't have, when I ran that report, it really, nothing came out. I think the only thing, that's expense right now is the 73,000. Is that what you're talking about?
No, I was speaking of like the specific, like the checking account. We have a, let me see, where is it? Yeah, the checks, yeah, 73,000, you're right. So the check, the total checks amount, yeah, 73,000, and we have check number 2397. And just wanting to know, we had something that would tell us what that check number 2397 was.
I don't know why. You paid a consultant. It was,
I mean, I understand that it's like, it was paid for something, but just having the ability to see exactly what it was paid for. I know I'll be signing a lot of stuff.
We can have your answer for the end of the meeting. The bank statement, the second page of the bank statement.
oh yeah, I know what it is, because I looked it up, I just did not write it. But
Yeah, shouldn't the bank statement have the,
Second page.
the bank,
yeah,
these
yeah.
particular bank statements for some reason do not display the check images.
Oh, wow.
Like some of our other accounts, they displayed it, especially all of our general fund. They display all the checks. This particular account does not display the checks. So I'm gonna need to talk to Truist about, if we're writing a check, we should be able to see it online.
Yeah.
Can you go to the info part to the end of the
Oh.
meeting, just pull that out and see what it is.
And so, we can bring it back for next week. I don't want to have to do it today, but even like with the credit card payment of $214.22, I'm sure I signed something, but I just wanna, know so we can kind of know what we're spending on.
Yeah, same thing with the program, thinking about it, $1,500. Because through it, we're paying through it.
See, all these expenses that you're looking at, if you're looking at the actual checking account, the bank account, the bank statement, uh, it hasn't made it to our Encode system yet. So like I was saying, like next month, you're gonna see all these charges on there. I think, because with doing the bank reconciliations, that has not updated that particular one.
But everything that Ms. James signs is created by PO, that's Sharice. So it has to be in code.
It's in Encode, but it hasn't been updated yet.
Yeah.
Because I know a lot of things were hindered on us getting the budget in, and that kind of delayed some of the updates.
But I think what Ms. James is expressly saying, and I remember there used to be a report by which
You could see itemized.
We saw
Mhm.
it one time when we were
Yeah.
looking at.
I remember them going through. Yeah. This is detail.
I know report, because I ran.
Can you continue to run it? But you're saying it's not updated.
Yes.
Gotcha. I understand.
Yeah, I will run.
I understand.
Part of the packet, but nothing's on it.
Gotcha. Okay. Any other questions you all have? Still hate seeing that service charge. Y'all know me. I'm gonna leave it alone. Okay, that's it for you all? You want me to give you a couple of minutes? I think the next item goes along with it, the discussion of interfund balances.
Yes.
Okay.
And the point analysis of the due to and due from for the URA accounts. This is coming, we're about to go into, doing the audit, the annual audit for the city. And we've come to a point where, we're trying to get all the schedules together so we can be able to present them to the auditors. And if you ever heard of due to, due from, this part here, I'm asking coming to the committee to ask for you to authorize us to do the interfund transfers, the due to and due from. In that particular, this is a spreadsheet that I'm showing here. And I've also attached a little cheat sheet behind it. that lets you know per the dollar amounts, what I'm trying to move. Uh, everything here that I'm trying to move is the interchanging of, the debt service on the bonds for 2021A and 2021B. And, one of them is, and one of them is for, 2020 LMIG revenue that was reported, but it wasn't cleared out. So in order to have a clean slate going into the audit, we need to perform these interfund transfers. The first one I can start off with, in which I would have to talk to the DA. The DA owes the URA 585 fund $350,000. That's the one coming from the 2020 LMIG revenue. It was recorded, like I said before, but it just wasn't cleared out. So we might not have to talk to them to move it, but we need to clear the book so when the auditors come through, they have a clean slate. Second one,
So before you go to the second one, let me ask, so, so you're saying the 361,000 is monies that we are due from the Development Authority?
no.
Okay.
350,000 below it.
From the splash, okay,
Now, the 361,101, that is, that money is owed, the URA 586 fund owes the splash 326. This was something that happened back in May of 2021, when the splash, when you just first got the splash. I think the 361 101 was kind of borrowed. So right now, we're cleaning it up because it's been rolling on the books for a minute.
okay, so it's a zero, it's a squash
Yeah,
zero.
yeah, all this is
So
gonna be zero.
We owe and they owe, okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha,
Going to like the third one, the 380,502. That's the URA 586 fund owes the URA 585 fund. So we just basically just moving money from one of your accounts to another account.
So you just cleaning the books up.
That's all. But I need the committee's permission to do that. And then the last one, the URA 587 fund owes the URA 585 fund 1.7 million. And all this is all bond related. This is because of the way it stipulates how you have to pay using one fund and then transferring to another fund. That's all we're doing, is staying in compliance as well as cleaning up the books.
I move we allow the finance department to do the cleanup as they have suggested.
okay, that was, motion by Mr. Lawrence, second by Mr. Avery. Any, additional comments or questions? I'm confused. If y'all okay, y'all good. Yeah, I'm good with.
But James,
To do from is always something that is
Yeah.
very confusing.
Mm-hmm,
Trying to clean up the pool cash.
mm-hmm,
Due to's due from is one of accountant's major headaches.
and I'll share this with you, Ms. James. You'll recall, this is one of our audit findings and has been for this city for a number of years because it was never done.
okay,
And so because I refuse to have a late audit, they're trying to get this cleanup work done now so that we can have a timely, successful audit. But all of this should have always been done every year.
gotcha.
We actually have people now that are actually digging into the GL and trying to clean up all the transactions that are coming up as errors.
Okay, so basically it's zeroed out. No one owes anyone anything. It's just zeroed out. It's just
It's
cleaning
gonna
up the
zero-
book.
yeah,
Okay. All right, that makes
That's why
sense.
you see the 2 zeros.
Mhm.
It's zeroed out.
Okay. All right, so we have a motion on the floor. All in favor? Aye. Okay, that was unanimous.
Thank you.
All righty. So we're gonna jump back up to the, to make sure you all didn't have any additional questions on the financial report. Are you all good? Everyone? Okay.
We're now.
Okay. All right. Okay, we're gonna move to the economic development update.
So a couple of things. Unfortunately, Director Marcellus Williams could not be with us this evening, but, and I'm not going to read all of this to you because we've had a lot going on in our department, but we hosted our first and fabulously successful Off the Rails trolley tour on no, what month are we in? August 18th, I think it was the date. Our next one is coming up on next Wednesday. So if you did not have an opportunity, please see me if you would like to join us for our
I
trolley
heard that was
tour.
long.
Huh?
I heard that was a long.
It was long. I promise this one, we're better. We're gonna tighten it up. We're tightening
Okay.
it up. We also had a successful meeting with the Black Coffee Company, Eggs Up Grill and Studio Cigar Lounge about possible relocation or expansion to the city of Forest Park, have met with a multitude of real estate developers and brokers, some of which are Hurley Homes, West Plan Investors, and Target Realty. We also attended the Aero Atlanta Economic Development Collective, which happens more or less monthly. Also, Director Williams spoke with developers during the Aerotropolis Atlanta tour of Clayton County that was held, I think, 2 weeks ago. We are very aggressively working through plans for Blues on Main, which is Friday, October the 11th. More specific details about the event will be coming to your inboxes very, very soon. But we have 4 bands that are going to be performing. We're very excited about it and have at least worked through most of the major big logistical stuff. Now we just need to pack the space. We also had a ribbon cutting for Lingo Staffing, which is located on Ruskin, which is more or less kind of on the same side as the Home Depot, so kind of that end of Jonesboro Road. We also hosted a How to Grow Your Business in Forest Park with the SBDC that is housed at Clayton State, and looking at making this an ongoing series that we will offer. Working again through all of the details with Project Splash, Project Moonshot, as well as Operation Unload. So as you know, we have acquired a substantial amount of property in and around the Main Street corridor, and now looking to start offloading and developing those lots. Also attended a real estate networking event, which was called State of the Market, that is hosted annually by CoStar. Have fielded lots of business inquiries of people looking to relocate to Forest Park with their business. We hosted a ribbon cutting at America's Food Basket, which was previously the Piggly Wiggly. They have been bought by a chain out of Connecticut. I think the next closest location to us is up in the Lawrenceville area. In addition to the grocery store, they are also looking to bring in, and hopefully this should be happening fairly soon, a bakery as well as a hot deli bar. And I promise you, it's way better than it was when it was the Piggly Wiggly. Still got a ways to go, but a lot better. And then I've also hosted 2 business retention expansion visits in Ward 1 with Councilwoman James, with EV Terra Recycling, and then also with Cinelise. Finalize the monument for Gillum Logistics, we talked about, as well as finalizing all of our budgets. I attended the Georgia Main Street Conference in Thomasville, Georgia, 2 weeks ago. And as you will be reminded, we have moved forward with becoming an official certified Main Street program. We have been accepted as a startup community for our Main Street program. The Georgia Downtown Association Conference was fantastic. Checked off all the boxes of the required training that we needed to go through to continue to move this forward to full accreditation as a Main Street program. Yes, sir.
Can you briefly reiterate what?
It is well, there are kind of 2 things. So there is a National Main Street of America. I think, is that the official name? Main Street. Yeah, Main Street of America. So it's a national program, but here in Georgia, it's housed under the Department of Community Affairs, is the Georgia Main Street program. And it really and truly is an economic tourism driving engine for Main Street communities. And so everything that we're doing in terms of how we activate our Main Street, trying to get people to come to Main Street, be comfortable coming to Main Street, seeing Main Street in a different way, and at the same time getting people to be engaged through public art, through events, through commercialism, retail, restaurant experiences, public art. Also, at the same time, the economic development part of this is how we bring commercial businesses to Main Street, how we bring that live, work, play. And that's the vehicle through which all of this drives through.
I think the other thing to note is that there is only one other community in this county.
There absolutely
that's Main
is.
Street accredited, and I'm sure you can guess which one that is.
Yep.
Like,
So we're okay being number two.
Jonesboro?
Jonesboro is the only one in.
who's asking the question?
Yes,
Yeah, yeah.
that is correct. Yes, Mr. Elliott.
In the beginning of your presentation, you mentioned eggs up.
Mhm.
Are you trying to get them to move here?
Trying to get them to expand.
Expand.
Expand. They are, and absolutely, I used to work in the city of Morrow, the city not to be named, and was part of the team that got Eggs Up Grill to come tomorrow. They are absolutely just fabulous and fantastic couple. They own I think two Subways in Atlanta proper and expanded their footprint. They bought Eggs Up is a chain that's based out of Spartanburg, South Carolina. So they bought into the franchise and opened in what was, I think that was the T-Mobile store, there in Morrow, right across from the public shopping center. We had a great conversation with Antoine and his partner a couple of weeks, maybe about a month ago now, about the possibility of expanding and opening a second location on this side of the county. They haven't ruled it out, but where we left that conversation was possibly doing a different type of concept. They were actually very keenly interested in potentially the Grapevine.
And expanded hours.
Yes,
So I think now they close at what, 2 or 3
they
o'clock?
close at 2 o'clock. Mm-hmm.
What about a coffee shop of some sort?
We are also actively working with Black Coffee Company. They had previously looked at a site on Main Street. It's actually, I believe, JoJo Starr's building, the old Kiwanis building, as possibly there, but we are having conversations with them about possibly being the coffee partner for the drive-through coffee shop that we want to do at the Grapevine, and or a standalone coffee place. So we've got lots of pieces and lots of different opportunity, but yes, most definitely looking for coffee shop, a wine shop, a pizza place, basically all the things that Rochelle likes to eat and drink.
And the other thing about black coffee, Mr. Elliott, and I know you'll appreciate this, it's just cool. Like it's not what the name, it's just cool, and the food is amazing.
Yeah.
It is amazing. I mean, the danishes and the breakfast sandwiches. And the most interesting thing is that the individuals live in Forest Park.
What?
That's great.
They live here. As much as I've heard about this place, they live here.
Wow.
They work out in this city every morning and live right over by Fort Gillum.
Wow.
That's great.
It's just crazy, it.
That's good
crazy.
stuff, but I don't necessarily want Main Street to look like a
No,
business zone.
I agree. And that's one of the things that as Miss Rochelle goes through this Main Street training, she's gonna learn, like, it's more so about your mom and pops, your small businesses, giving them a chance because you want to keep the fabric. Yep, you want to keep that community feel.
I know that a lot of food halls are essentially incubators for those small business facilities. And if you have not been off of Howell Mill, there's a place called Chattahoochee Food Works. And it is an amazing place because all of these small businesses with amazing foods are found in one location. So it also just creates a synergy.
Is that place? You call the place for the whole bunch and they're right there together and kind of.
Yeah, and they actually, they have some outdoor patio space, it's
Yeah.
a shared seating area, but they also this is a little different from most food halls because they have a retail component attached. So they have where you can shop and you can, the problem is it's in West, I mean, it's not a problem, it's in West Side, so there's a lot of walkability. But, I really think that that is something that could work very well because we have great chefs in our area, but they just can't afford to pay the rent that to occupy a space. So maybe a food hall or something to that effect will really serve as a incubator for our business.
So I'm not sure if you are aware,
Mhm.
so we have out to bid right now, when you hear her mention the grapevine, well, first we have names for everything. The grapevine is this Rite Aid right here. And so the city owns that building, and what we've done, Mr. Berger, will you pull up the city manager's report for the last month? I believe it's there.
I think it's a business incubator, is it a restaurant?
It's a food incubator.
Oh, it's a food
So it has a commissary kitchen for individuals to get out of their houses cooking illegally, as well as it has three, oh, we don't have the inside of it. But, no, that was it. It says business, but it's
Yeah,
a
'cause
food.
I read it and I
Yeah.
saw business incubator.
But it's a three restaurant, well, it's both actually, because you have three flex space offices, you have a large conference room, you have a place for events, and you also have three food halls, three concierge, I guess you'd call them, and a commissary kitchen. Included in that is a bar for individuals that like libations, as well as a coffee shop.
Yep.
And a bakery.
And a bakery.
And a bakery. And so out of that, when you hear her talk about black coffee, and you hear her talk about eggs up, there are these kids that do all of these amazing cookies that have traveled all over the world. We've also been in conversations with, Slutty Vegan and the concept in Ponce, Bar Vegan, about incubating the space to the next level because it just gives that sesh feel now on a day-to-day,
Yep.
day-to-day basis. We have this out for bid right now.
I saw business, I actually saw it, but I didn't realize it was food, so that's good to know.
If you remember, we actually have an entire video.
There's a whole
of the
video. I
inside.
can send
It's
that.
beautiful.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
I'm surprised.
Yep. I will.
Yeah, I mean,
Add to my list.
Y'all be treating us like redhead stuff.
No.
I always do these presentations.
So is that what I'm?
No, my
no.
gosh.
Last month?
I thought,
I did it
no.
in council meeting.
Oh,
yeah, no.
oh, see, you gotta keep the URA board.
I will definitely send
abreast.
you the.
Yeah.
Yes, I will send it to everybody.
Yeah, I thought everybody knew.
Give me a
about
second, I can pull it up. I'm sure.
You can send it, I don't want them.
Okay.
that. Okay.
I just was.
And I'm sending right now, all of your emails, the sketch for the monument. for the tracks. You will have that.
So,
Electronic.
God, I'm so still.
oh, yeah, do we have an update on the electronics and T-shirts and all that
It's
stuff?
coming.
Okay,
And coming very soon. We needed to get through some stuff on the back end internally with Encode and the URA budget. We had a glitch that we had to work through. Now that we've worked through it, we can go forward with placing the order.
Okay.
So hopefully by your next meeting, which would be what, October? This is
Mhm.
September, right? October. We can have your
believe it.
pads,
believe.
email addresses, as well as your shirts.
yeah, awesome. Okay, so we do need to go into a executive session briefly to discuss real estate. Yeah, I think that's what it's gonna be called, Attorney Matricardi, right?
Yes.
Okay, is there a motion? Okay, that was Ms. Julio and second by Mr. Wilson, all in favor? Aye. All right, so we're gonna put you on the phone, I think, Attorney Matricardi.
Yes.
We're gonna have. Danielle, I'm calling you right now.
Attorney Matricardi.
We need to breathe.
Okay.
Yes, it is.
Huh?
Telling me. Are they telling me to change? Are they mean?
That was Mr. Wilson, second by Ms. Julio, all in favor? Aye. Coming out of executive session, we have a motion, which is,
Madam Chair, we would ask that this authority approve a First Amendment to the purchase and sale agreement for Project Splash, subject to impending legal review.
okay, that was motion by Ms. Julio and second by Mr. Avery, Mr. Wilson, all in favor? Aye. All right, is there a motion to adjourn? All right, Ms. Patrick and Mr. Wilson, all in favor? Aye. Right, thank you.
You know, I did not know it was Jasmine. You know, I always call you Jasmine.